Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Electro Harmonix Deluxe Big Muff Pi. So about 2 years ago, Electro Harmonix introduced the most luxurious iteration of their infamous Big Muff Pi fuzz pedal, which is the pedal I'm holding in my hand right now. If you buy this on Amazon, it's about $120 versus, $80 for a regular Big Muff, or less than that if you buy a used Big Muff, and there's 1,000 of them on eBay or on Craigslist, especially Craigslist. These deluxe versions tend to not pop up used, so you're probably going to end up buying it new if you get it, which kind of sucks. So the question really is the deluxe iteration of this pedal worth the 40 bucks or more that you're going to pay for this versus a classic Big Muff? In my opinion, the answer is absolutely yes. But the stuff that I tend to like on this pedal and makes it worth the money for me is the stuff that a lot of people tend to overlook. And the stuff that a lot of people think is pretty cool on this pedal, I actually think is kind of useless. So we're going to walk through everything one by one. So in addition to a blacked out exterior, which is actually, instead of like most Electro Harmonix pedals that are metal on the side, this is actually white, which is kind of a nice touch. But in addition to a different appearance, there's a lot of extra buttons and knobs on the Deluxe Big Muff Pi. But if you set all of these at 0, you disengage them, and you're only using these 3 knobs, the volume, tone, and sustain, you're going to get that classic Big Muff sound that's been used by a ton of bands, probably too many to count, but a couple include Nirvana, White Stripes, and the Smashing Pumpkins. Let's take a quick listen to that classic Big Muff sound in case you've never heard it before. Even if you think you've never heard it before, you definitely have. You just don't know it. I'm going to be using a 1987 Custom Shop Jackson Dinky played through a Mesa Boogie 550 Express. It's got ruby tubes in it, and I'm micing it with a thin body condenser mic. Now let's check out all the extra stuff that you get with the deluxe iteration of the Big Muff Pi, starting with the most cool thing, and we'll go down to the least cool thing. Surprisingly, the coolest thing on this pedal, in my opinion, is the addition of an attack knob. What this actually does, if you set it all the way down, you're going to have just, regular Big Muff sound. The problem with that, in some cases, is that if you have the sustain up really high, especially if you're recording, you're going to wind up with just like a big cloud of fuzz. Nobody can hear your notes. The attack knob takes care of that very, very nicely. The more you crank it up, the more you can hear your strings and your individual notes coming through that cloud of fuzz if you have the sustain really high. And who doesn't play a Big Muff with the sustain really, really whacked out? So let's take a quick listen to how that sounds. I'm going to play the same riff 3 times. On the first play, we're going to have the attack knob all the way at 0. On the second play, we're going to have it halfway up, and on the third play, we're going to have it all the way up. I really like it all the way up. The notes cut through beautifully, but I'll be curious what you think. The second coolest addition to the deluxe version of the Big Muff Pi is the addition of a bass boost switch. Somewhat self-explanatorily, when you click this up, when it's down it's your normal Big Muff sound, but when you click it up it's going to give you more low end, whether you're playing high notes or low or whatever, just boosts the low frequencies. It would be really easy for Electro Harmonix to go completely over the top with this, make it too boomy, make the low frequencies too overbearing in your guitar sound, but it's frankly a perfect bass boost. It gives you just the right amount of bite and presence that you're looking for with that additional bass without being too boomy or anything like that. Let's take a quick listen to how this pedal sounds with the bass off versus with it on. I'm going to play two riffs, first time with the bass boost disengaged, second time with it engaged, and let's see if you can tell a difference. The third coolest thing on this pedal is the addition of a noise gate. Now, a lot of people I think aren't going to like this noise gate. It's pretty extreme. I guess on the upside, it does completely cut noise out. Total silence when it's engaged. The downside is, it's just one knob for this gate. There's no attack knob, so there's no control over how quickly the gate kicks in, and it kicks in just like that, immediately cuts off your sound. So some people are going to find the gate on this useless because of that. I actually like it for two different reasons. Number one, if you're like me and you only use a gate for when you're in between songs and you don't want any feedback or anything like that, any buzz getting out of control, you can just turn this down pretty low and it's going to keep that under control for you very nicely. The second and main reason I like this gate, and the whole reason I have a feeling that it's been added to this pedal, is that it's pretty funky. Like, if you crank it up, and especially if you turn the volume knob on your guitar down a little bit so the signal's a little bit weaker, you can get some really crazy like clipping effects, kind of like an MXR Blue Box, but actually in my opinion a lot cooler and a lot more useful. Just like crazy out there clipping stuff. Let's take a listen to how that sounds. fourth thing you're getting with the extra 40 bucks you pay for the deluxe version of the Big Muff is the addition of a midsection. If you read online, both I guess on forums and on the Electro Harmonix materials on this pedal, they say that the Big Muff has a pretty scooped sound, and there's been a demand for the addition of a midsection for a long time. You can really tweak this midsection if you want to. This switch right here actually turns it on and off. This is going to control the level of the mids that are coming through on your signal. This button controls the frequencies that the mids actually cover, and then you have a Q switch over here that is basically going to control how wide the Q is, if you're into EQs, of the mid frequencies here. So if you set the Q to low, you're not going to get as extreme an effect as if you click this up to a high Q. In addition, you can plug an expression pedal into the Big Muff Pi Deluxe, and through sweeping the mids with the suppression of the expression pedal, foot pedal, you can get kind of a weird wah effect. Sounds kind of stoner rocky to me, very avant-garde. Pretty much if you played a wah for like 20 years or whatever and you're bored with the sound of every wah out there, this might be a breath of fresh air for you. A lot of people supposedly really like the midsection on this pedal. I personally think it's pretty useless. To me, no matter how you tweak these knobs, it just sounds like it's putting an old-time radio effect or something on your Big Muff sound, and is basically making it sound weaker, which I can't find much use for. I don't have an expression pedal, and looking at demos of people using expression pedals with this pedal, I wasn't compelled to go out and buy one, but I do think if you already have an expression pedal, it adds to the usefulness of the midsection. Once again, not enough for me to go out and shell out $100 or however much an expression pedal is, but yeah, might get beyond that old-time radio effect that this creates, in my opinion. But don't take my word for it. Let's listen to it.